everybody, welcome back to those who've been hanging out with me for a while and following me on this channel, and welcome to those of you who are new. I'm Adele Levine, intuitive and medium, and today is New Year's Eve. Yeah, whole time around. I have a couple of things before I start today. I would like to do a video. It was kind of a 50-50 split when I did a vote on should I do Are Soulmates Real or what is collective consciousness. It was pretty close, and since this is New Year's Eve and we're going into the new year, I thought collective consciousness would be better because this is talking about the collective whole and the connection, and I think we need some of that, right? An understanding of that. This is also for me, this is a day that my father passed. I posted something on Instagram. It's the last day of Kwanzaa. If you don't know what Kwanzaa is, I grew up celebrating Kwanzaa. It is Imani, which means faith in Swahili. And my father, who adopted me with my aunt, uncle, they're my aunt, uncle. He was my uncle. Hope that wasn't confusing. When my mother died when I was 10 days old, my aunt and uncle adopted me, took me in, and my uncle became my father. He celebrated Kwanzaa, and he taught me so much about this subject matter and so much more. So just want to do a hello and tribute to him because I was very close to him. It just goes to show you, and I'm going to segue into collective consciousness, that actually I always felt like he was a teacher I was handed off to. I always felt this. I used to tell him this when I was very young. I'd look in his eyes and I'd see his soul. So I'm going to segue into the collective consciousness subject matter. Also, at the end of this video, hang tight. I do have a special I'm giving up till the 3rd, which is Friday, for YouTubers only. I'm only posting it here on YouTubers, meaning only for the followers on here. I'm not posting this special on my Instagram. So just hang tight for that at the end, and I'll put it in the script. I know I always say that, but I'm going to remember to put it in the script. Okay, Adele, get on with things. So collective consciousness. So a lot of people feel that collective consciousness, or people tend to believe that it really means almost like being one and in unison. And let me break it down to you this way, and this is how I've come to understand it. In this world, we live very separate. When whatever you're going through, that's how we see it. Whatever I'm going through. You're in your body, I'm in mine. We're living separate lives. And what affects one doesn't affect the other. That's how we live here. The other part of what this world tends to create is the idea that we label each other in this separate way. So what I mean by that is, you know, what car you drive, what skin color you are, racial and cultural, the geographic area you're from. We're very caught up in like, where am I from, our DNA, and you know, what's my connection in history, and money, and jobs, and I can go on and on and on about how we live in a very separate way here, that we tend to identify each other about the differences all the time. The differences is the check mark. That bump was my cat. By the way, they were all sleeping until I started this video. It's a thing. We all know this by now. And we mark each other in this kind of way, meaning like this is how we identify, you know, who we are. And we tend to approach each other in this way. What label can we give each other? Now, the other part of it is our communication and understanding of each other, trying to understand how one is feeling, what you're going through, what experiences you might have. Like, you know, for me today, like I said, I have a passing of someone on this day, and I'm trying to share that experience of, you know, what it's like and all this kind of stuff. And someone else, this may be like an amazing day. Maybe they got married on this day and it brings up all kinds of wonderful feelings. And that's a whole different perspective. Or someone made it through the year and they're like, okay, I had all these amazing things happen and I made it through the year. Or you made it through, oh, the year was shitty and you made it through. But what I'm trying to point out is our feelings and what we go through, we try to communicate as strong as we can through words, through art, through writings of art, through paintings, through pictures, through crying, through any which way we can to get each other to understand who we are. And some of us don't. Some of us hold back and just hope that we meet the right people who have an understanding or find the right way to have this understanding. Or you have a cat that's like jumping around on the table and making as much noise as completely possible. Hello, kitty. Thank you. Thank you. We hear your collective consciousness. That's a perfect example. Animals are more in tune telepathic. So in the other realm, this separate way of being doesn't exist. The other important part is, are we all trying to be the same? No, we are not trying to be the same. That is not collective whole. When people say we are one, we are one, we are one, please don't interpret this as it means we are one, that we see things the same, that we're one entity. It is not. It means that when we're trying to achieve a oneness and the collective consciousness in that realm, it's the idea that we have an understanding of each other. What that means is what I'm feeling and what the other person is feeling, it's a knowing. I don't have to sit and explain it. For instance, when I read intuitive readings, I jump in that person's sphere, energy sphere, and I see the world according to them. 100%, I'm not saying 100,000%, as 100% as I possibly can in that person's eyes, how they feel, how they see the world, how they tick, not my interpretation. And I do it as best as I can, existing in a physical body as a human being. In the other realm, the collective whole, the collective consciousness, is operating in the same way, of course, a million times better than I can, because they're not blocked with their own emotional hang-ups and things that they've gone through, and also interpretation of what that person is going through. It's a quick flash of knowing. So if someone is trying to convey something in that realm, I already know it. It comes through me. It's a feeling. Telepathic talking is not just communicating with words and such. It is a knowing, it's a feeling. So the collective consciousness is the idea that you do not feel alone. You don't feel alone in what you're experiencing. Whereas here, many, many times we do. And we're always trying to find our way back to a connection of understanding. Now, I know people throw out technology and all kinds of things saying this is causing a divide and people aren't feeling connected. I don't really believe that, because honestly, every time something is created, there is a negative aspect to it, meaning you can take something and create it and make it amazing, and someone can use it for something. You can say that about everything. You could say a pen can be used for writing, and people have used pens for stabbing someone. I mean, that's like maybe their hand or hurting their hand. I mean, maybe that's a little bit crazy, but I'm just saying, like, you get the picture. And so technology isn't the result, isn't causing this disconnect. Actually, it is making us feel overwhelmed with so much information and so much knowledge of others that we almost don't know how to comprehend all of this coming at us. And so, like, when a spirit passes, that's the thing they tell me. They feel all of the energies of all the whole of this world and the next coming at them, and they have to learn how to discern what they're feeling and how to not get completely overwhelmed. So the collective consciousness is the idea that your ancestors and higher beings meaning like higher beings, whatever you want to call them, if you want to call them angels, if you want to call them fairies, if you want to call them aliens, whatever you want to call them, but the higher beings are working together all in one, including with your spirit trying to help guide, trying to help give information, trying to help heal. Collective whole, like a sphere, just like our energy is. And so you are still individually who you are. You are still ticking in your own right. We're not meant to morph into each other. We're just meant to try and see it from that person and a many other, and to feel through compassion and empathy and understanding without having to detail it completely out. So how many times have you gone through something and you're trying to explain to the person, and the person just wants all these details, and you're like, I just wish they could just feel what I'm feeling. And that's what we struggle with here, whereas the collective consciousness that exists in this other realm and we does not. And many times we tap into that, right? Through creativity. How many times has someone created something and someone else had the same idea at the same time? Or you feel like, I can tell there's like a wave of something shifting in another direction. That's a collective consciousness. I'll do a video on this, but I've talked about, the idea retrograde, where everyone's deciding this is going to be a really bad time, it's a really bad time. That's a collective consciousness deciding everything's going to go awry. And you can also do it in another form. People have tried this. We're collectively trying to come together to focus on something, but it's very hard for us due to our ego, and our ego of wanting to stand out and wanting to be seen and wanting to be loved for who we are. So the balance of understanding the whole and all of it works together and being yourself is the hardest part, and it's why we're here and what we're trying to achieve. So that is my understanding of the collective consciousness. That's why when it comes to guides and teachers, and we're so busy worrying about what their names are and who they were when they were here, they're not really concerned with that, because they're working in a collective whole. Everybody works and does their part. They don't work on a hierarchy basis. That's what we do because of ego, and we need that. And the collective consciousness works in more of a whole understanding. So I hope this makes sense. I don't feel like this will be the last video that I'll do on this subject, because it is a very broad subject. This is what I've come to understand. Always remember that. This is what I've come to understand thus far. From what I've been shown, it's a very, very large, and I'm going to go off the screen, puzzle that I'm seeing a corner of. So I'm just trying to convey to you what I've come to understand so far. And this is what I've come to understand from that realm so far. And if you want to feel this collective consciousness, find a way to tap into the energy at hand, meaning feel the wave when you wake up in the morning. Like, do a tester. What's the energy? Where is it waving to? And how do I want to stand in it? Also, try to find compassion and empathy of someone else, even if it's difficult, because it is difficult many times. If someone's hurt you or is hurting you or being rude, it is difficult. So if someone's going through something difficult, try to feel what they're going through and not your interpretation of when you went through it and what you reacted to. So I hope that helps. Thank you guys so much. Happy New Year. Cheers with my lemonade, which I forgot. I thought water was in here, and I was like, whoa, my lipstick is on purpose, so if anyone thinks I mishapped, I didn't. Thank you guys so much. Speaking of the new year, thank you for the support of my podcast, The Witch in the Medium, and on this channel. I am offering 50% off of half-hour readings. That's normally $90 readings for $45. I hate to say the price and be cheesy, but people ask me a lot, so I might as well just throw it out there and tell you, so if you feel like you don't want to look it up. It's AdeaLevine.com. If you put in the code TUBE, it's only going to go to this Friday night, the 3rd at midnight. This is a thank you. I've been enjoying meeting you guys. I've read for so many people who've been watching me on here and listening to the podcast, and I think these specials help people to be able to have an opportunity to see what I do and for me to help you. Thank you guys so much. As I would say on the last day of Kwanzaa, Kujiajalia, which means hello and welcome in Swahili, and Imani, have faith. And Daddy, I'll be talking to you, and see you guys soon.